It is 11:47 p.m. in London, and most of the city is asleep. But inside Buckingham Palace, chaos is unfolding. King Charles III sits alone in the Belgian suite, the same room where the Queen Mother once hosted secret dinners, but tonight there is no champagne, no laughter. Just the king, a pen, and a decision that will split his family apart. Sources say Charles dismissed every advisor. Not even his private secretary was allowed to stay. He told the guards outside, "No one enters. Not even the Queen Consort." Then he called for the letters patent, an ancient document that decides who holds the crown if the sovereign becomes too sick to rule. If the king has a stroke, a heart attack, or cannot sign laws, that person becomes the acting monarch. Traditionally, that person is always the firstborn son, Prince William. But Charles picks up the royal pen, crosses out William's name, and writes 3 words, Her Royal Highness the Princess Anne. Anne. The Princess Royal. The one who never wanted the spotlight. A palace insider leaked a single email to the Sunday Times with the subject line urgent, sovereign's decision. Inside was a quote from the king telling the Queen Consort, "I need a warrior, not a waiter." Think about that. A warrior, not a waiter. Charles sees William as someone who waits, who hesitates. But Anne, she fights. Within 45 minutes, the news spreads inside the palace walls. Camilla is told in her private sitting room. According to a royal staff member who spoke off the record, she did not cry or scream at first. She just stood up, walked out, and slammed a door so hard that a painting fell off the wall. Staff heard shouting, muffled and angry, then silence. By 6 a.m., the official announcement is written. By 8 a.m., every news outlet in the world runs the same headline. King Charles appoints Princess Anne as future regent, bypasses Prince William. The nation wakes up confused, angry, and shocked. This is the biggest royal earthquake since the abdication of 1936. And nobody, not William, not Camilla, not even the Prime Minister, saw it coming. But here is the question the palace does not want you to ask. Why would a father do this to his own son? Prince William is the future king. Everyone knows that. So why would Charles block his own heir? The answer hides inside an old law called the Regency Act of 1937. That law says a regent rules only if the monarch is sick, absent, or under 18. But here is the loophole nobody talks about. Once someone becomes regent, they cannot become king later. Ever. It is a one-way door. You either rule as a substitute, or you wait for the crown. You cannot do both. Now, Charles is not dying, at least not officially. But leaked medical records from the king's private physician tell a different story. A source inside the London clinic says Charles has a chronic mobility issue that is getting worse. Something to do with his spine and the swollen fingers the public sees in every photograph. Doctors say it could suddenly worsen, leaving him unable to sign laws or meet with the Prime Minister. In that moment, someone else must take over. If William becomes regent, he loses the throne forever. Charles refuses to let that happen. But there is another layer to this secret. The king is not just protecting William's future. He is also protecting the monarchy from William's biggest weakness, indecision. A former palace advisor leaked a private conversation where Charles told a close friend, William hesitates. He waits for permission. And does not. And here is the part the press missed. Under a forgotten clause in the sovereign's reserve power, Charles does not need Parliament's approval for this decision. He can name any adult royal he wants. And is 16th in line, but the law does not care about the number. It only cares about the king's signature. And that signature is already dry. So while the world asks, why not William? The real question is, what does Charles know about his own health that we do not? Healthy kings do not name backup rulers in the middle of the night. Healthy kings do not bypass their heirs unless they are scared. According to a royal protection officer who spoke off the record, Charles has started using a walking stick inside the palace when no cameras are around. The nation sees a strong king. The staff sees a man preparing for the worst. And if Charles falls ill tomorrow, and becomes acting sovereign before William can even pick up the phone, that is not a conspiracy. That is the law. Let us rewind to 1974. This is where you truly meet Princess Anne. It is a dark evening on Pall Mall in London. A white Ford Escort is carrying Anne and her then-husband Mark Phillips back to Buckingham Palace. Suddenly, another car boxes them in. A man jumps out, fires 2 shots at the police, and tries to drag Anne out of her own car. Most royals would freeze. Most royals would scream. Anne tells the gunman, "Not bloody likely." Then she tries to punch him. She fights back while a bullet barely misses her. That is not a storybook princess. That is a warrior. Fast forward to today, and Anne has not changed one bit. While other royals pose for red carpet photos, Anne works over 450 engagements a year. No days off. No complaints. No designer drama. A former royal protection officer told The Times, Anne runs the firm. When Charles panics at 2 a.m., he calls her. Not Camilla. Not William. Anne. She holds a hidden title that almost no one knows about, Lord High Admiral of the United Kingdom. That title gives her military authority that even the king does not hold. She can issue orders to the navy. She can command fleets. And she never had to ask for permission. But here is the real reason Charles chose her. And has never wanted the crown. Not once. Not even as a child. She loves her horses, her dogs, her simple routine. She wears the same coats for 30 years. She fixes her own umbrellas. While the rest of the family leaks stories to the press, and stays silent. That silence terrifies her enemies. You cannot manipulate someone who does not care about fame. A leaked email from a senior palace communications officer reads, and is impossible to spin. She refuses to play the game. Charles trusts her because she has never asked him for a single thing. In a family where everyone wants something, William wants respect, Harry wants revenge, Camilla wants security, and wants absolutely nothing except for the monarchy to survive. That makes her dangerous. That makes her perfect. And now, with one signature, Charles has turned his quiet, forgotten sister into the most powerful woman in Britain. She can outrank the Queen Consort. She can override the heir. She can fire anyone she wants. And the scariest part? She never asked for the job. That is exactly why Charles gave it to her. Westminster is burning. You will not see it on the evening news because MPs cannot publicly criticize the king. Privately, however, they are livid. A leaked WhatsApp message from a senior Labour MP has been circulating inside the Houses of Parliament. This destabilizes the heir. Charles just told the world he does not trust his own son. What happens when William remembers this in 10 years? That message was sent at 1:23 a.m., 90 minutes after Charles signed the letters patent. The Regency Act says the regent must be the next in line over the age of 21. And is not next in line. She is 16th. To bypass William, Charles had to use the sovereign's reserve power, a legal nuclear option that has not been used since 1760. Over 260 years ago. One constitutional historian from Oxford called it a quiet coup against the future king. A source inside Parliament says the Speaker of the House has already scheduled a secret emergency meeting. The topic? Whether the king has the legal authority to make this decision without a vote. But here is the trap. If MPs challenge Charles, they look like they are attacking the crown. If they stay silent, they allow a 77-year-old woman in a tweed coat to become the most powerful person in Britain overnight. Either way, they lose. A former cabinet minister who asked to remain anonymous said, Charles is not stupid. He is sending a message. The message is, I am the king. I decide. Not Parliament. Not William. Me. And the terrifying part? He is right. The sovereign's reserve power has no limits. No appeals. No court can overturn it. So while the public argues whether Anne deserves the title, politicians in Westminster are having a much darker conversation. They are asking, if the king can do this to William, what can he do to us? Nobody has an answer. Imagine being Camilla Parker Bowles. You waited decades. You endured the headlines calling you the other woman. You smiled while the world compared you to Diana. And finally, after all those years, you sit beside your husband on the throne. Then, in one midnight signature, he gives the real keys to his sister. A close friend of Camilla spoke to the Daily Mail off the record. Camilla feels erased. Completely invisible. And has never liked her, not once in 40 years. And now Anne can outrank her if Charles sneezes wrong. Let that sink in. If the king has a single health episode tomorrow, and becomes acting sovereign, and the acting sovereign has the power to dismiss the entire royal household, That means Camilla's private secretary, her protection officer, her dresser, her chef. Everyone. And could fire them all before lunch. And here is what the palace is desperately trying to hide. And has already been making quiet moves against Camilla's team. A leaked internal memo from March shows and requested a review of household efficiency focusing specifically on the Queen Consort's office. That is royal code for, I am watching you. But Camilla cannot fight back. If she complains, she looks weak. If she cries to Charles, she looks jealous. If she goes to the press, she proves every nasty thing people have said about her for 30 years. She is trapped inside a cage made of silk and protocol. A former palace staff member recalls a private dinner where Anne made a comment about Camilla's fashion, loud enough for the whole table to hear. That dress looks like something from a village fete. The table went silent. Camilla smiled. But according to the staff member, she excused herself immediately and did not return for 20 minutes. Now imagine that dynamic every single day, except now Anne holds the legal power to destroy Camilla's entire world. Charles did not just name a regent. He built a cage around his own wife. He gave his sister the keys. And he told Camilla to smile about it. Montecito, California. 3 a.m. Prince Harry's phone explodes with notifications. According to a source close to the Sussexes, Harry is not angry. He is not sad. He smiles. Then he laughs. Then he texts one word to a close friend, told you. Think about what that means. For 35 years, Harry has been the spare, the second choice, the backup. He watched William get the best rooms, the best titles, the best treatment. And now, for the first time in history, Charles has skipped the heir to pick someone else. Harry finally has proof that he was never crazy. A message from Harry's PR team arrived at several major outlets within hours. William just got a taste of what Harry lived for 35 years. How does it feel? But here is the twist nobody saw coming. Harry actually respects Princess Anne. In his book Spare, he called her the only royal who ever asked how I was doing and meant it. He wrote about a private lunch where Anne looked him in the eye and said, "Are you okay? Really okay?" No other royal had ever done that. Not Charles. Not William. Not Camilla. Just Anne. And here is what the British tabloids will never print. Anne has visited the Sussexes in California. Not once. Twice. No photographers. No press releases. No leaks. She flew commercial, sat in coach, and showed up at their door like a normal aunt. She played with Archie and Lilibet, drank tea, and told Harry, "Your father is an idiot, but he is still your father." That is the woman Charles just made the most powerful royal in Britain. So while the world expects Harry to celebrate Camilla's humiliation or William's pain, the truth is more complicated. Harry is relieved. Because if Anne holds real power, maybe the door opens again. Maybe the family stops treating him like a traitor. Maybe his children get to know their cousins. But do not get it twisted. Harry is also watching William bleed for the first time. And a small, quiet part of him is enjoying every second. A friend told a US outlet, he is not gloating. But he is not crying either. He just keeps saying, now they know. Now they all know. Buckingham Palace confirmed the regent title is active immediately. The moment Charles has a single health episode, a fall, a stroke, a dizzy spell, and becomes acting sovereign. No election. No parliament vote. No family meeting. And here is what the palace is not telling you. Royal doctors are now on 24-hour alert. A source inside the medical unit says they have been instructed to keep a regency bag ready at all times, filled with emergency documents and the King's latest health reports. That bag has never existed before. Not for the Queen. Not for any monarch in modern history. Meanwhile, palace lawyers are working through the night rewriting every protocol. Who salutes whom if Anne takes over? Does she move into Buckingham Palace? Can William still call himself heir if his aunt is running the country? These are not theoretical questions. They need answers before sunrise. But the real danger is not Charles's health. It is division. A senior palace aide told a reporter, there are already two camps forming. The Anne loyalists and the William faithful. They are not speaking to each other unless absolutely necessary. That has never happened. Not during the abdication crisis. Not during Diana's death. Never. And William? According to a friend of the Prince of Wales, he is deeply hurt but completely silent. He has made no public statement. He has not denied the rumours. He has not even called Anne to congratulate her. That silence is louder than any scream. Some insiders believe William is waiting. Waiting for his father to make a mistake. Waiting for the public to turn against Anne. Waiting for his moment. But if the family splits into two warring factions, the monarchy does not survive. The press will feast. The public will choose sides. And the crown will become a weapon instead of a symbol. Charles took a massive gamble. He bet that loyalty beats blood. He bet that Anne's work ethic would outweigh William's birthright. But in this family, loyalty has never won. Not once. Let us step back and look at the man who started it all. King Charles III is not stupid. He has waited 70 years for this crown. He has studied every mistake every monarch has ever made. He knows the press will scream. He knows William might never forgive him. He knows Camilla is crying behind closed doors. And he did it anyway. Because Charles understands something most people refuse to see. The monarchy is not a family business. It is a survival machine. And survival machines need cold, hard, unbreakable parts. Look at Princess Anne. No scandal. No affair. No Netflix documentaries. No leaked texts. She wears the same coat for 30 years. She fixes her own umbrella. She once tackled a would-be kidnapper. She is boring, dependable, and absolutely terrifying to anyone who wants to destroy the crown. In a world where royals crumble under pressure, Andrew disgraced, Harry exiled, William hesitating, and thrives on pressure. She eats it for breakfast. A former private secretary once said, "William wants to be loved. And does not care if you love her. That makes her dangerous. That makes her perfect." Charles is not preparing for a quiet old age. He is preparing for a constitutional crisis. Experts believe the next decade will bring economic collapse, climate refugees, and possibly even the end of the United Kingdom itself. When that happens, the monarchy will need a warrior, not a diplomat. Charles looked at his son and saw a prince who might hesitate. Then he looked at his sister and saw a queen who never needed a title to rule. So was it genius or madness? The answer depends on what happens next. If Charles lives another 10 healthy years, this decision fades into a strange footnote. But if he falls ill tomorrow, and becomes the most powerful woman in Europe, and the world will finally see what Charles saw all along. The crown does not ask for permission. It does not care about feelings. It just takes. And it gives to the one person who never asked for anything. Princess Anne. The warrior they forgot. Until now.